Hey guys, C Hicks here and welcome back to my channel. Look, I don't watch football like that, right? I'm not really big on sports. So I may be late and may be behind on some things, but did y'all know that there were tributes and moments of silence to that guy, Charlie Kirk? Take a look at this.
Moments ago inside the stadium, the Packers and the NFL observed a silent reflection following yesterday's events.
The National Football League asks that you please join us in a moment of silent reflection following the murder of Charlie Kirk. The NFL condemns all violence in our communities. It will take all of us to stop hate. Thank you.
Right. That just happened. So mind you, that all happened on September 11th. Now, there was no moment of silence for the victims of September 11th. There was no tribute to the victims that were pew-pewed on the same day as Charlie Kirk, the students, the kids. None of that. What? I thought we were separating politics and sports and all of that. What happened to the whole Charlie Kirk kneeled and now, he got kicked. I'm sorry, Colin Kaepernick kneeled and got kicked out of the NFL, right? That happened, right? Not too long ago, because he kneeled just to fight against violence against black men, right? And he was kicked out of football because of that. Like, am I crazy? I don't watch sports like that, but isn't that what happened? So how is it okay now to have a moment of silence and a tribute to a podcaster? I mean, they're acting like this was a political person. He wasn't. He was a podcaster. Y'all, I don't know. What do y'all think about this? I'm sorry. I didn't see this coming. I feel like I'm living in bizarro world sometimes, but don't take my word for it. Let's look into these videos and see how people are reacting to this, because this is wild. Is it wild to you? Let me know. Let's get into it.
Now they mad cause a young nigga pocket stuff ain't enough.
Here's a group of NFL teams that chose to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk's passing, and they all lost. Circled in blue will be the teams that lost and the scores, of course. Now tell me God don't like ugly without telling me God don't like ugly. I'm just gonna sit there and let y'all marinate on that though. So the Bills and the Jets, yes, they lost. This one is the Tennessee Titans versus the Rams, and they only had 19 points. Next, we have the 49ers and the Saints. This was a close game, but the Saints lost by 5 points. Here we have the Seahawks and the Steelers. The Steelers only had 17 points. I'm sure it was a great game, though. But yeah, now we have the Patriots and the Dolphins. This looks to be a close game, a good game. Now we have the Eagles and the Chiefs. I'm just going to leave this where it is. We all have our feelings towards this, but somebody said at the game that Taylor Swift, she didn't even stand up. She didn't have a moment of silence. She didn't do any of that. But
they're playing a whole ass tribute to Charlie Kirk right now. Like they're playing a whole tribute.
5 NFL teams chose to not honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence. Shout out to the Lions, the Colts, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Vikings. And I find this very hypocritical and 4K because the same individuals in the same place that said that football has no place for politics has a place to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. What did he say about black people specifically in the NFL and NBA? Didn't he try to sensationalize how the black participation in the NFL was high, but he did not want to talk about the high white ownership of the game. Now, the same individuals that's rooting Charlie Kirk on wanting Colin Kaepernick to be thrown out of the game because he brought politics into the game, as well as disrespected the military. At the same time, they clicked up what the same Confederate flag told us. They fought against the military while trying to say that the football has a place for a moment of silence for this man right here. At the same time, saying when a black person talk about their political reality and how their position within American politics, when it come to him, your ass deserve to be fired. You say anything I disagree with. Even if you are quoting what he said in his life and trying to say it against now that he's dead, you're going to be fired in council.
So over half the teams in the NFL held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. But isn't this the same NFL? Aren't these the same maggots? Isn't this the same Donald Trump who said there's no place for politics in sports? Basically just shut up and dribble. We don't want to hear about your politics. We came to watch the game. These are the same people that went so hard and got people like Colin Kaepernick kicked out of the NFL. The man couldn't get a job. He played in the Super Bowl and couldn't get a job after he took a knee for police brutality because he was dishonoring the flag. There's no place for politics in the NFL. But these NFL teams are going to hold a moment of silence. They did hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. He wasn't even a politician. He wasn't elected. He wasn't a congressman. He wasn't anything. He held no political position. He was just a talking head who went around to college campuses. I don't understand this double standard that Trump and his maggot faithful have. They cannot wrap their heads around the fact that they kicked a man out for kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality. They got him kicked out of the league and probably others. They sure as hell probably gave him death threats. The National Football League, half the teams are recognizing this man with a moment of silence. Make it make sense.
Charlie Kirk was shot and he passed. That is a horrible, despicable act that should never take place. But what has really irked me is the whitewashing of who this man was. And sports is playing a key role. Thursday Night Football, a nationally televised game, the National Football League and Green Bay Packers held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk on 9/11. The broadcast did not show a moment of silence to commemorate all the Americans who passed during 9/11. But now we are in this space where Donald Trump is attending New York Yankees games, talking about Charlie Kirk. The Packers are falling in line. The National Football League is falling in line. So let's just make sure and remind them of what they are doing and who they are honoring, if we can. He hated the Civil Rights Act and called it a mistake. He said it's been turned into an anti-white weapon. He said on Jubilee, black folks were better off in the 1940s and as slaves. And even when the Triple K and Jim Crow laws dominated their lives, he called Martin Luther King awful, said, and I quote, "If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified." Called Juneteenth a racial complaining day. Quote, "Blacks," which is a term I do not use, "are far more likely to commit crimes than any other group." He called systemic racism, quote, "rubbish." Said systemic racism is not real. Called George Floyd, quote, "a scumbag," and that he died from a drug overdose. That is not true. He blamed a black fire chief in Austin, Texas for flooding deaths that occurred a 3-hour drive away from that town. He praised Kyle Rittenhouse, quote, "You're a hero to millions. It's an honor to be able to have you." He viewed women as second class. His group, Turning Point USA, viewed immigrants as an existential threat to white Christian America. He espoused Great Replacement theory, which is a white supremacist conspiracy theory that white people are being replaced by immigrants. He called for doxing professors he disagreed with. Some even had to move from their homes because of it. He called for public of people said it should be broadcasted live on television. When Zoran Mamdani won the primary, he said, and I quote, 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist is on pace to run NYC. On Islam, he said, and I quote, the sword the left is using to slit the you-know-what of America. He assailed affirmative action picks, as he put it, Joanne Reed, Michelle Obama, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee. Kirk said, and I quote, you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken seriously without affirmative action. You had to steal a white person's slot. He said that he would make his daughter carry her R-words baby. Via Common Dreams, Kirk called gay and trans people groomers who are destructive, opposed gay marriage, and campaigned against gender-affirming care for trans people, insisting we must ban trans-affirming care. The entire country, Donald Trump should run on it. I think it's worth, he said, to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. To reduce gun violence, he said the solution was more guns, even children having guns. He said the Democratic Party believes everything that God hates. Via Mother Jones, he hosted far-right and white supremacist figures on his pod and has tweeted in support of whiteness, earning praise from white supremacists who have long campaigned to mainstream such rhetoric. He even invited a veteran white supremacist named Steve Saylor, whose bona fides include writing for publications such as VDare and Un's Review, which are both white supremacist publications. He hosted Curtis Yarvin, who has described slavery as a natural human relationship. He hosted a podcast with Jack Posobiec, who has ties to white nationalism. In August 2023, he tweeted, whiteness is great. A year prior, he tweeted, there is undeniable war on white people in the West. He hired one dude who was fired by Fox for posting misogynistic, homophobic, and racist content online. He wrote for Tucker Carlson. Charlie Kirk hired him after he was fired at Turning Point USA, and they hosted a podcast together. Via Vernelia Randall, one African-American staffer reported being the only person of color when hired in 2014, and they were fired on MLK Day. The national field director at the time, Crystal Clanton, was exposed for texting this, and I quote, I hate black people, end of story. He was funded by hard-right billionaires, and after he was killed, white supremacists chanted in a video, white men fight back. So as we are seeing so many different sports, and specifically teams, have a moment of silence, can we just also acknowledge what they are honoring in that silence? Just please.
So let's talk about what just went down in the NFL. 5 teams, the Lions, Colts, Bengals, Ravens, and Vikings, made the decision not to hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And honestly, that move says a lot. Because here's the contradiction. This same league once told us football had no place for politics. They told us to keep politics out of the game when Colin Kaepernick took a knee to highlight injustice. They said it disrespected the flag, disrespected the military, and yet here they are making space for silence, grief, and recognition when it comes to someone like Charlie Kirk. Now let's not forget what Charlie Kirk said about black athletes. He openly questioned their presence in the NFL and NBA, but conveniently skipped over the fact that ownership in the league is overwhelmingly white. He called out the players, but never the power structure. So when black players speak up about their reality, they get silenced, fined, and blackballed. But when it comes to Charlie Kirk, suddenly the field is supposed to turn into a place of honor and remembrance. That's what you call conservative contradictions. One standard for us, another for them. So
in a moment of silent reflection, following the murder of Charlie Kirk and in remembrance for all victims of senseless violence. We condemn all violence in our communities. It will take all of us to stop hate.
Orleans Saints fans really riled up in a very long time. But yesterday, during that memorial for Charlie Kirk, they booed the entire time. Now, I'm not going to say Charlie Kirk was perfect. And I'm not going to say we as humans are perfect. He ain't need to die. But the boo was warranted. Because I'd be damned if I studied my entire life to become a pilot, and he say, I don't think that man qualified just because he got brown skin. Get the fuck out of here.
My New Orleans Saints held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. I know not my New Orleans Saints did not do that. Gail Benson, what's good? Not my.
5 NFL teams chose to not honor Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence. Shout out to the Lions, the Colts, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Vikings. And I find this very hypocritical in 4K because the same individuals in the same place that said that football has no place for politics has a place to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. What did he say about black people specifically in the NFL and NBA? Didn't he try to sensationalize how the black participation in the NFL was high? But he did not want to talk about the high white ownership of the game. Now, the same individuals that's rooting Charlie Kirk on wanting Colin Kaepernick to be thrown out of the game because he brought politics into the game, as well as disrespected the military, the American military. At the same time, they clicked up with the same Confederate flag told us they fought against the military while trying to say that the football has a place for a moment of silence for this man right here. At the same time, saying when a black person talk about their political reality and how their position within American politics, uncalled for. Go to timeout. You're canceled. When it come to him, your ass deserve to be fired. You say anything I disagree with. Even if you are quoting what he said in his life and trying to say it against now that he's dead, you're going to be fired and canceled. Conservative contradictions.
The 3 NFL teams spark outrage for not honoring Charlie Kirk. Number 3, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens actively voiced support after the 2020 George Floyd incident, holding moments of silence and backing players taking a knee. Their silence over Kirk's killing has drawn criticism for double standards. Number 2, Detroit Lions. Based in Michigan, a state where conservatives and liberals are evenly divided, the Lions' decision not to honor Kirk has been interpreted by many right-wing fans as deliberate politicization. Team executives feared that taking a stance on sensitive issues would alienate liberal supporters, leading them to opt for inaction. Number 1, Cincinnati Bengals. Ohio itself is a red state, with many fans supporting both Trump and Kirk. The Bengals' decision not to honor Kirk risks appearing out of step with local sentiment. The team likely fears that observances could provoke a boycott from liberal supporters.
Did the Yankees hold a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, but the Packers did as well. I didn't know the Packers held a moment of silence because I don't watch that part and before and all the other crap. They held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, and I saw it on TikTok. I couldn't believe it was true, so I had to go on Google and look up did they actually do it. They did actually hold a moment of silence for him, and that made me not want to watch any more NFL games. I'm an Eagles fan. I don't know if y'all know this, but I am. I'm a very diehard Eagles fan, so I watch football, and I try to watch other games, scope the scenery out. But I don't think I'm going to be watching football anymore. That really kind of pissed me the fuck off. I didn't watch baseball anyway. Who the fuck watches that? But yeah, I'm just like, I'm trying to understand why. I don't wish ill will towards anyone, but why Charlie Kirk? There's no one else y'all could have held that for. Not the students in Colorado. Not any of the students that schools got impacted by school shootings. But Charlie Kirk, someone that petitions for violence to uphold the Second Amendment. His last words were gang violence. I see what side is trying to push their agenda, but y'all gotta hear me out real quick. It's like somebody snapped their fingers and all the sleeper regions woke up. They're like, okay, this is the time. Everybody spring into action. Because even people have known for years are on Facebook talking about something. Oh, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Black people, minorities. So who snapped their fingers and said, yeah, I'm gonna pay you this amount of money to hold a moment of silence, fam? Y'all make me sick sometimes. I only wanted to keep politics out of sports because it affected y'all negatively and y'all had to care about minorities and black people. That's the only reason. Y'all don't give a fuck about anything. Y'all don't care about that. Y'all don't want to see politics when it affects y'all negatively or is what y'all actually believe in. I would never take any of y'all seriously. And granted, should I be watching sports at all? It's basically just like an auction. It's like a slave auction to see who's the best at what. It's gladiator games. But I still partook in it and I enjoyed it. But now I can't do that with a conscience. Like, I can't. Sorry.
Can somebody tell me, out of all the teams that did a Charlie Kirk tribute, how many of those teams donated to the Trump campaign last year during his election run? And how many of the teams that didn't do a Charlie Kirk tribute donated to the Trump campaign?
Post is reporting that all of 4 teams last night who played in NFL Sunday did not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. Now, the New York Post did update the story, and it was actually 5 teams who did not pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, 4 of those 5 teams actually winning their games. Now, the article also points out that 8 teams did pay tribute to Charlie Kirk last night, and if you were wondering if they won, out of those 8 teams who did pay tribute, 6 of them lost. I'm literally not kidding you. It keeps going. Yes. Thank God. Now, I'm no sports expert and I'm no betting expert, but I'd say that in the next round of games that are coming this Thursday and Sunday, because I think Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football is a thing, I'd probably place my bets on the team that doesn't pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. And now remember, the New York Yankees, which I believe was the only MLB team that paid tribute to him, lost their game against the Tigers. And everybody knows that in baseball, which is the most superstitious sport, a lot of teams probably backed out of putting out a tribute to Charlie Kirk because of that. Now, I do believe the only other MLB team who played tribute to Charlie Kirk was the Cubs, but they did win. But again, being the most superstitious league, that's not a gamble that I think most MLB teams are going to make. Now, as for the NFL, maybe you should hold your tributes till after the off season. Now, the New York
Stick to sports. That's what so many people used to say. But I'm here to argue that sports and politics have always gone together. They have been one in the same, whether it be the national anthem, political, a presidential first pitch, political, a flyover, political, honoring the military, also political. And that has been the case with sports since the beginning of time. So on Thursday Night Football, when Charlie Kirk was given a moment of silence, people understandably were divided. Some angry, some not so angry. However, dare I say, our real world, what is happening day in and day out, can't be ignored, no matter where we go. The time that we are living in no longer allows us to ignore what's happening on the outside world. Our small moments of escapism are now actually creeping into our everyday lives. So last night, when the NFL agreed to honor Charlie Kirk, it made a very political statement. They also made a political statement when they honored George Floyd. They made a political statement when they said end racism. The tide is definitely turning, and we can no longer say that sports and politics don't go together. In fact, because it's so real, dare I say, it's the reason why they do go together. These are real life emotions happening in real time, and you, as someone who loves sports, will come and try to escape, but escapism isn't real, not in the world that we live in today.
Charlie Kirk was a bright light in this world that will not be extinguished.
The New York Yankees held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Here's why I am confuddled. Yankee Stadium is in the Bronx. 68% of people who live in the Bronx are Yankee fans. 29% of people who live in the Bronx are black, and 55% of people are Latino. 2 groups that Charlie Kirk has said very racist things about. So, for example, in 2023, he said, happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. That's actually not a fact. Another reason why I am confused about this, the Yankees opened their season with 10 players who were immigrants, according to World Baseball Network. But back in August, Kirk said, America was at its peak when we halted immigration for 40 years and we dropped our foreign-born percentage to its lowest level ever. We should be unafraid to do that. Put all of this together, and this moment of silence does not feel like it is for the Yankee fans who live in the Bronx and whose taxes help build the stadium. It also doesn't feel like it's for the 28% of their starting roster that are immigrants. But you know what? Never mind who this is for. Here's some of the people that the Yankees have not held a moment of silence for. 16-year-old Yvette Jeffrey, who was riding her scooter in the Bronx when she was shot and killed. She was innocent and not the target. They also didn't hold a moment of silence for their fellow athlete known as the Palestinian Pele, who was killed by Israel. Nor did they hold a moment of silence for Joseph Tumulty, a former FDNY firefighter who died due to a 9/11 related illness. And yes, I know they held a general moment of silence for 9/11, but that is not the same. Now, Trump doing things like this, that's on brand. But someone explained to me, like I am stupid, why a baseball team in one of the most diverse cities in America, whose leaders made it clear they don't want politics in baseball, explain to me like I'm stupid why this choice was made.
The team that played a memorial for Charlie Kirk at home on Sunday Football lost. And all the ones that didn't won.
There were only 4 teams yesterday that held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. It was the Detroit Lions, Arizona Cardinals, Baltimore Ravens, and the Colts, okay? And guess what happened with those teams? They went 4-0. Those were the only 4 teams that did it, and they were the 4 teams that went undefeated yesterday. They were undefeated, 4-0. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does, okay? Charlie Kirk should have been remembered by every single NFL team. There should have been a moment of silence for every team. Oh, and the Green Bay Packers did it on Thursday. So that's 5-0 for the teams that had a Charlie Kirk moment of silence before the game. So I'm not saying, I'm not wishing your team to lose, but if y'all would have did that, maybe you would have won. But yeah, he should have been remembered at every stadium. He's a great guy. Whether you like him or not, he had a family, he had 2 kids, he had a wife. He was always, pushing. He pushed what he believed in. And if you didn't believe with him, you had a chance to argue with him. He literally went to colleges to debate. He didn't go to colleges to say, hey, you have to believe this. You have to believe it. No, he went to debate. And because someone couldn't debate with him, they decided to kill him. So it's unfortunate, and I'm glad that people are remembering him, and there's moment of silences across the nation, but there should have been one at every single NFL game.
Who remember Colin Kaepernick? Who remember him? Remember when the NFL and you clear people said that politics have no place in football? Remember that? So now that one of your own was assassinated, Mr. Charlie Kirk, now it's okay for the NFL to bring politics into the NFL. Is that what you guys saying? Because look at the hypocrisy that come with you guys. When it was a black man, politics did not belong in the NFL. It was set from the owners and you clear people. Now that they say clear man, politics belong in the NFL. Think about that, people.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all right now. I don't want to hear no more breaking news. I don't want to hear nothing about no NFL. I don't want to hear nothing about them goddamn Packers doing a moment of silence. I don't want to hear no more breaking news about the NFL and the Packers and all of them over there doing a moment of silence. I don't want to hear no more breaking news. I just don't. For this guy that was on the damn tickety talk and the YouTube and the Instagram, and he spewing all this, hate and all this kind of stuff. And so what you saying is you gonna take a moment aside. I don't want to hear no more breaking news about the NFL and the Packers, because that's gonna take me all the way back to when Kaepernick, am I saying it right? Because I'm not a NFL person, but Kaepernick, he took that knee and y'all literally just demolished his career. What you saying to me is you say you did what? This the reason why we be telling y'all all the times, jobs and things of such don't need to mix politics and things of that such. When I go to work and somebody asks me anything about politics, I keep my mouth twisted to the teeth, twisted. My lips is twisted. Why? Because it doesn't belong. You don't need to be asking me nothing about politics. Okay, boo? You just don't. You just don't. Okay? And a lot of times when people be talking about God at the job, sometimes I don't say nothing. You know why? Because their beliefs might not be the same as mine. Their beliefs might not be the same as mine, which what we are dealing with right now. His beliefs was what? Can you tell me? Y'all keep saying Christian. I want to know how, and I want to know when, and I want to know where. Where was he, and why was he, and when was he? Because I didn't see it. So for me not to get into it with you, let's just stop broadcasting all of this. Just stop it.
All right, here we go again. The NFL has now held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, observing it before last night's Commanders-Packers game at Lambeau Field. According to The Athletic, the PA announcer read, "The National Football League asks that you please join us in a moment of silent reflection following the murder of Charlie Kirk. The NFL condemns all violence in our communities. It will take all of us to stop hate. Thank you." At risk of being the moment of silence police, I'll just say this. It's not a great sign that massive brands like the Yankees and National Football League, whose fans span the political spectrum, feel comfortable memorializing an extremely partisan individual like Charlie Kirk. The sad irony in the NFL's case is that they're condemning violence by lionizing a figure who believed gun deaths were an acceptable cost of preserving the Second Amendment. He laundered hateful ideology through a polished, palatable image, but for those more discerning, it could not mask his ugly worldview. I ask the NFL, if it takes all of us to stop hate, what part are you playing by honoring someone who once said, "I can't stand the word empathy. I think empathy is a made-up, new age term that does a lot of damage." The sports world needs to understand that we have license to be repulsed by Kirk's death and the manner in which it happened without mythologizing him as this paragon of decency. All right, here.
So, 8 NFL teams held a moment of silence for the passing of Charlie Kirk yesterday. Yes, 8 teams held a moment of silence for a podcaster who did not give a fuck about anyone except for himself, his kids and his wife, probably. Liked you if you were a man and YT. So my stance on a moment of silence for someone that did not respect any human life except for the people that he liked, I'm sorry, no. And for the 5 teams that refused, I'm glad you stood on what you believe and on the right side of history. Because for a man that was extremely racist, homophobic, transphobic, and generally all around not such a good person, I don't think we, the United States of America, the people, should feel obligated to give a moment of silence or fly our flags at half-mast for someone who didn't like empathy and didn't give a fuck about anyone else. So there's that. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. What do you guys think about the teams that said no to the moment of silence? Are you for that? Are you against that? Let me know in the comments.
I just want to make sure that you're aware that the NFL and the Green Bay Packers held a moment of silence for a known racist and white supremacist, Charlie Kirk. But they're the same NFL that blackballed Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee, protesting police brutality. This is America.
Black man, this is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. Look how I'm geeking now. I'm so fitted.
They did a celebration of life for Charlie Kirk at a New Orleans Saints game, and it seems like they collectively booed, or they at least disproportionately booed him. And, you know, the energy was just saying that he's not our guy. Now, the most infamous parts of Charlie Kirk's character appeared posthumously for me. And of course, we all have skeletons in our closet. Some of us have entire graveyards. So this, of course, raises the question, why does America appear to inordinately hate him?
All right. What's your question?
Why did you say that the civil rights bill should be overturned?
I didn't say that. I said it was a mistake.
Why? That's crazy. I wouldn't be here. That's trouble.
Okay, guys, that's all the videos I collected for this one. What do you think? Are you pro having these this tribute for Charlie Kirk? Do you think that's going to become the norm now for a podcaster? Do you think that maybe there's cause for concern? Wondering why maybe there wasn't a moment of silence for the persons who were part of the government, right? They didn't get a moment of silence, or maybe a moment of silence for the victims of 9/11, or maybe a moment of silence for the victims of the school shooting that occurred the same day as Charlie Kirk, or I'm sorry, the pew-pewing of Charlie Kirk. Do you think does this seem forced? Does it seem like they're forcing their opinion upon you? Also, does it seem retaliatory, right? Did you hear or do you know that they are planning to, or that it has been stated that Charlie Kirk Day is going to be October 14th, which is coincidentally George Floyd's birthday? Do you think that's a coincidence? Or do you think this is because of George Floyd? Do you think this goes back to this, and they have been so angry and so upset about the BLM movement and the George Floyd situation and the tributes and all of that, and this is just a kind of spit in our face type of situation? Because is it feeling like it to you? Because it's feeling like it to me, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Or are you pro? Maybe you're thinking that this is normal. This is what we should do moving forward. This is what Charlie Kirk deserved, right? Do you think he was a great guy and he should be honored? Negate the fact that he was not in politics at all and he was simply a podcaster, right? Is that what warrants it? You know, he doesn't have to be military. He doesn't have to be anything. He just has to be what? I don't know. What qualifies him for these tributes is what I'm trying to understand. Do you know? And if so, let me know. Let us all know. But again, that's all I've got for this particular video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. I'm still trying to get to my 1,000 subscribers, and I want one of them to be you. So until next time, toodles.